Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and another episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me a fan mail and or fan questions and I do best to answer them. The first question of a number of great questions this week is going to be coming in from Twitter, where he's going to write, Dear Nero, do you want a World at War 2 or a World at War Remastered? Lucas from Illinois. Now Lucas, I chose to feature this question first because I feel as though it's a very good question. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments. Would you guys rather have a sequel to Call of Duty World at War, or would you rather them remake Call of Duty World at War on current systems, i.e. the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, as well as the PC? Let me know about that in the comments. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that before I give my answer, and hopefully some of you guys have written your comment by now. So what I would prefer to have between World at War 2 or a World at War Remastered would be World at War 2. I think it would be much better, in my opinion anyway, to have a sequel to Call of Duty World at War, because it would be a brand new World War 2 Call of Duty game that was made and optimized for the current systems, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the PC. It would be better, in my opinion, than a remastered version of World at War, although I will say I would be very pleased with a remastered version of World at War. The only reason I chose a sequel over it would be because I've already done and seen everything that there is to do in Call of Duty World at War. I have all the achievements for the game. I'm 10th prestige. I've done just about every challenge in the multiplayer. Of course, there's some like headshots and stuff like that I haven't done, but in reality, headshots in that game don't matter because there's no camos in that game. I've done just about everything that there is to possibly do in that game, so I would love a remake. I would definitely welcome it. I'm just saying, for me personally, a new World War II game where they could kind of give us new maps or tell a new story or have different weapons, that would be more interesting for me, in my personal opinion. The next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, what was your childhood game growing up, or what video game did you put the most time into? Aziz from Australia, is that pronounced that correctly? A-Z-I-Z, I've never seen that name before. It's definitely a unique name. So it's really difficult to answer this question because it's kind of hard to quantify how much time I've actually put into the various games of my childhood. Now, I did play a lot of the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the Sega Genesis, and the Game Boy Color / Game Boy Advance. And if I had to pick, like, of all the games I played back in my childhood, the games I probably put the most time into would be the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, if you will, between 1, 2, and so on. I definitely played a lot of SmackDown and SmackDown 2 because I was a big wrestling fan growing up. If you guys don't know, some people ask me still to this day because, you know, new fans come and older fans go, and just, you know, there's constantly an influx of new subscribers, I suppose. People ask me, why is my name Nero? It's because growing up, I was a big fan of wrestling. Jeff Hardy was my favorite wrestler. Then, was it the WWF era? That might have been WWE by that point. I'm not even sure. But by the time I got an Xbox 360, I needed to make a gamer tag, and I chose the gamer tag Nero10. And the reason why I chose that was because Jeff Hardy was my favorite wrestler at that time, and I don't watch wrestling anymore, if you're wondering. People ask me about that too. I haven't watched wrestling in like 5 years or so. But Jeff Hardy was my favorite wrestler. His full name is Jeffrey Nero Hardy, and I thought Nero was a very unique name, and I've kind of gone by Nero online ever since. So I was a big wrestling fan growing up, so I played a lot of the SmackDown game as well as SmackDown 2, but that's not to discredit all the time I played on Pokemon, right? I played so much Pokemon growing up on the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. Between Pokemon Blue along with Pokemon Silver, like between those two games, I put in hundreds of hours, probably hundreds of days of playtime, if I'm being honest. Like, I played a lot of Pokemon growing up. So probably one of those three games, either the Tony Hawk games, the SmackDown games, or Pokemon games would probably be the games I played the most growing up. The next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, with the new upcoming game Infinite Warfare, if there is some kind of hidden 25 or 30 kill streak, will we see the return of the Chem Strike or DNA Saturday type videos? I don't think I speak for myself when I say that it was one of my favorite series to watch. Thanks for all the hard work in your videos, and stay awesome. Michael from Is that how you pronounce it? He says how to pronounce it, but I'm not sure how you pronounce ISS. Would that be Is? I have no idea. But will there be a DNA Saturday, Chem Strike Saturday style series in Infinite Warfare if there is in fact some sort of 25 or 30 kill streak in that game? Right now, I'm leaning towards doubtful, but I guess I would never really discredit the idea completely. It's always possible that I might end up deciding to do a series along those lines when the game actually comes out. We'll have to see. But right now, I'm really happy not doing a series like that, I suppose, which sounds weird to say, but the reason why I decided not to do a series here in Black Ops 3 is, one, there's no actual proper streak. Like, nothing actually happens. You just get a nuclear medal that pops up and goes ding. It's like, oh, congrats, you got a 30 kill streak. It's like, yeah, that's really rewarding. But another big reason why I stopped doing those series is because it really wasn't benefiting the person who was actually submitting the gameplay. The person that did all of the actual work in terms of getting the gameplay and actually, doing that awesome achievement in game, they rarely ever actually like saw a boost to their subscriber count. They would get 20 new subscribers or something like that, which really isn't that big of a deal. And chances are most of those people don't even watch those guys either. Of course, there were some success stories, but for the most part, it didn't really benefit the actual player that much, which I kind of felt as though I was leeching off of them because I was basically getting this nice video to put up, which would generally get a lot of views, but the person actually got the gameplay wasn't actually benefiting it whatsoever. So I decided that's not really where I want to be. I want it to be like kind of like an equal share kind of a thing, whereas if I'm getting a benefit, I want you to get a benefit, and since they weren't getting a benefit, I decided to just not do the series in Black Ops 3, and nor do I really plan on doing one in Infinite Warfare, although again, not entirely sure. That's not set in stone. We may do a series like that in the future if I can somehow improve upon the idea a little bit. The next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, I just got copyrighted by Activision for playing 1 minute of the Zetsubo no Shima cinematic. I am currently trying to dispute the claim, but it's Activision and they get just about everything they want. Have you ever been copyrighted, and what are your experiences with it? Christian from Michigan. So Christian, I guess I know a little bit about copyright here on YouTube. I am a YouTuber going on 5 years now, so I definitely had my fair share of copyright claims and copyright infringements and countering claims and so on and so forth. I've been on YouTube so long that I remember back when people would put a disclaimer about the right of fair use and the actual law of fair use. They'd put that in the video description of their videos back when we had to rate 5 stars instead of having a like or dislike option. So I've been around for a bit. The problem you're having is Activision will always copyright anything related to Call of Duty trailers and cinematics unless you are partnered with a network that has a specific deal with Activision. That's a question I get all the time. People always asking, like, Nero, how come you can re-upload these trailers that Call of Duty is releasing, but when I do it, I get a copyright strike? Obviously you don't want copyright strikes, so how do you get past that? And how I get past it is I'm partnered with Machinima. I'm partnered with a network that has a deal with Activision that allows me and protects me from copyright. I'm allowed to re-upload the Call of Duty trailers on my stuff because I'm a Machinima partner. Now, if you're not a YouTube partner, or if you're partnered with one of those one-off networks that just are a dime a dozen at this point, then they don't really actually provide you any copyright protection whatsoever, and therefore you're going to get a copyright claim from Activision. Is that a good system? No, I would say it's actually a pretty terrible system, because all it is fans trying to promote you for free, basically. If somebody re-uploads a trailer, or maybe like what you said, where you have featured 1 minute of the Zetsubo no Shima cinematic, you're either talking about the game, you're talking about the map, you're making people excited for the map by promoting it. It's a good thing as a whole, and for them to copyright claim you is bad. But there's nothing you can do about it, because like you said, it is Activision, and the only way around it is to be partnered with a network that will actually give you protection from that kind of a thing. So I wish I could help you out more there, but that's really what it comes down to. You have to be with the right network, I suppose. Now, what are the right networks? I don't know. I assume the bigger ones, Full Screen, Machinima. I think Atomic is one of them. I don't even know all the networks. I've been with Machinima since 2012. It's like 4 years now, right? So I've been with Machinima forever. I get offers every day. Every time I check my email, it's like, hello, I'm representing broadband television. I'm representing Full Screen. I'm representing this place and that place. And they're like, we would like to partner you. I'm like, well, I don't think you're going to give me any more money than Machinima is, so there's really no need for me to go over to your thing. They're like, oh, yes, but we work very closely with our partner. I'm like, yes, everybody does that. Everybody does. The bottom line is how much money can you actually pay, and also what is your copyright protection like? And turns out every single network out there is just like Machinima. They're all the same, but with a different name. And so there's really no point for me to ever want to change networks. People always say, especially when they go on my Let's Play channel, they see the Machinima intro on all the videos over on Nero's Let's Plays, and they think, well, why do you have that as your intro? And it's like, well, it's because I have no other intro on Nero's Let's Plays whatsoever, and it looks nice having the little short Machinima intro there. And they always say, well, I'm sorry you're partnered with Machinima, because I've heard nothing but bad things about them. But in reality, Machinima's been great to me for 4 years. I mean, they've given me a very good deal, a very, very good deal, which is just as good or better than all the other deals from all the other networks that I've seen. And they provide me top-notch copyright protection at the same time. It's like, this is a great place. I like these guys a lot. I've had, I guess, a couple squabbles with them in the past, but for the most part, Machinima's pretty great. The stuff they did in the past, where they would release people because they had these absurd contracts that they couldn't possibly hold up to or live up to. I mean, that's all in the past. That's back when people were paid like a flat CPM as compared to actually getting paid what their videos actually earn. So I don't understand it, man. Everyone gives Machinima such flack, but they're actually a pretty good network in my opinion. I've been with them for 4 years now, and I like them. So I guess that's my advice to you if you want to get by copyright in that sense. But a lot of other stuff can happen as well in terms of copyright. I feel like we're going on super long with this question. But for example, we got a copyright claim, and Mishima wasn't able to protect me from this because Nintendo was being just a bunch of douches. They decided to take down episode 1 of my Pokemon Ruby Let's Play back in the day. I remember the name specifically. Her name was Kim Warren. She was the person representing the Pokemon company who administered the copyright claim, saying that this was their property and so on and so forth. They took down my video. One day, keep in mind, one day before the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games were released. They took down my video, which was at the time the #1 Pokemon Ruby video on YouTube. You type in Pokemon Ruby, bam, there was my video right there, #1 in the search results. They searched up one day, they saw, oh, we need to get this out of there so we can make room for our trailers and content to show up because our new game is coming out. They deleted my video just so they could have a little bit of SEO for their new trailers and whatnot. That is just so scummy. Like Nintendo and the Pokemon Company and everything, they're just so terrible. So I definitely say try to stick away from those guys as best as possible because you never know what's going to happen with Nintendo. But yeah, copyright on YouTube, it's a tough thing to work around. But if you're just a Call of Duty channel like me, it's typically okay. Any kind of Call of Duty footage whatsoever. Although, unless you're partnered with the right network, you should probably avoid using their trailers. Next question. He is going to write, Dear Nero, I've been a proud subscriber of yours since last year, and I'm wondering if you have had the same problems as me regarding the hard drive capacity on consoles. I have less than 10 games installed on my PlayStation 4, and I'm lacking space to be able to install any more games. I have a 500 gigabyte hard drive. Gustav from Sweden, did I pronounce that right? I'm so bad at pronouncing everybody's names. But first off, Gustav, thank you so much for being a longtime subscriber of my YouTube channel. And yes, I have the same problem that you have. Everybody has the same problem because the consoles were shipped with crappy hard drives. If they were going to make it so we are forced to install every game that we want to play, they should at least give us a giant hard drive. Now, of course, you can get extra hard drives now, and I think even there's some better bundles out there now, like you can get them with like a terabyte hard drive. I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure. I haven't upgraded consoles since I bought my Xbox One Day 1 edition. I got like a standard PS4 as well. But 500 gigabytes is crappy. It's horrible. I just recently had to go back and delete a bunch of games. I did a video earlier on today where I used some old Titanfall footage because the video was talking about Titanfall 2 because I did not want to take the time to reinstall Titanfall on my Xbox One. I hadn't played it in a while, so I deleted it off my hard drive because it was taking up an absurd amount of space along with everything else. I had to go through, I deleted Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, I deleted Titanfall. These are all games I would like to go back and play on occasion, but it just, I simply don't have enough space on my Xbox One to keep all that stuff there. It's kind of absurd. So if they're, I don't understand the system there. If you have to install your game, like what's the point of a disc? Now I'm sure there's an actual answer out there, but I'm just saying, like, what's the point of actually having the physical version of the game if you're going to have to install it anyway? I liked it a lot better on the 360 and the PlayStation 3 and everything that, before that, where you could just pop in your disc and play your game. You didn't have to sit there and wait for it to install for a couple of hours. You didn't have to dedicate like 40 gigabytes of space on your hard drive just to have a game there with nothing else on it, no add-ons, no DLC or anything. It's absurd. I don't know why that's a system, and I hope whenever they decide to make new consoles, whenever that would be, probably a very long time from now, that they would resolve that issue, either giving us massive hard drives or making it so we don't have to install our games anymore. Either or, I don't like that system whatsoever. The next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, have you ever been interested or a fan of superheroes from either DC or Marvel? Love the vids. James from Australia. So James, I actually get questions like this a lot, believe it or not. And the reason why I think so many people are asking is because it's just such a thing in pop culture now. You see so many superhero movies, it's absurd. There's always a new superhero movie coming out. Even for some of the lower tier superheroes, in my opinion anyway. It's a very uneducated opinion, I'll admit, because I've never been a fan of superheroes. But I'm just saying, I see so many superhero movies that are coming out just always. Now they're combining them, and then they're having superheroes fighting each other in their movies now. It's like, holy crap, that's just the new thing. In video games, the trend is dystopian futures or science fiction, and in movies, it would appear the theme is superhero movies. Let's just have all kinds of superhero movies. It's absurd. But yeah, I've never been a fan of superheroes. I've never really been. I used to watch, as a kid, this is super long ago, the Justice League cartoon, but that's about the extent of my knowledge of superheroes. It's just never something I was interested in. I've just never been interested in the entire idea of superheroes. I was never into Batman or Spider-Man or Superman or anything like that, Wonder Woman or Aquaman or anything like that. For whatever reason, it went past me. It just whoop, right over my head. I was never interested in that growing up. I was more into like Nickelodeon shows. I was into video games like Pokemon. I was also into like sports. I was into football. I was into biking, skateboarding, extreme sports, and stuff like that. Just for whatever reason, superheroes never really appealed to me. So I've never seen a superhero movie. I don't really plan to. And the only show I've ever watched was when I was a kid growing up. Like after school, the Justice League would be on, so I would watch that on occasion. But that's about the extent of my superhero knowledge. Next day and final question, he's going to write, Dear Nero, says COD 4 is somewhat close and you know so much about the game. I was wondering if you could do like a weekly tip and trick video for COD 4. I played the game before at my friend's house, but it wasn't enjoyable because of hackers. I want to know as much about the game before it releases. Optimus Prime from Cybertron. So Mr. Optimus, I would love to do a series like that. And honestly, I've talked about it before. I am super well equipped to do a series like that. I know so much about that game, from every single glitch on every single map to spawn tubes and hardcore search and destroy. I could teach you guys a lot of tips and tricks about Call of Duty 4. Here's the thing. I don't want to make those videos yet because the whole point of me making those videos would be, like you mentioned in your question, to prepare people for Modern Warfare Remastered. The problem is, we don't know if any of that stuff is going to be relevant in Modern Warfare Remastered. Is old school mode going to be in the game? Are all the perks going to be in the game? Are all the guns going to be in the game? So many people tell me, they bring up this one little quote that says, oh yes, they're not going to be changing anything about the game, but they didn't say they weren't going to be removing anything. What they said in that quote specifically was that they're going to have the same guns and the same perks and whatnot. They're not going to be adding in anything extra. They didn't say, however, that they wouldn't be removing anything. That's what I'm trying to get through people's heads, but they always keep coming back at me with this one particular quote. They have not confirmed that they're not removing anything. They've already cut out half of the maps. There was 20 total maps in COD 4, and if you count the DLC, and they're only including 10 of them in Modern Warfare Remastered. That's kind of a warning sign for me. That's definitely setting off some alarms in my head. So I'm wondering if they're going to be removing some of the guns, some of the perks, and things like that. If they're going to even have all the same game modes, they don't know. I don't know what they're going to be cutting. So I need to know what all is going to be in the game. We need to learn more before I can start making videos about that, because I could show you some really cool stuff in COD 4 and then just have it be completely irrelevant by the time Modern Warfare Remastered comes out. I don't want that to happen. That would just be bad for you guys. I mean, it would be interesting, I suppose, to learn more about COD 4, but just I don't feel so it would be good at this point. I would like to learn a little bit more about Modern Warfare Remastered and what they plan on doing with it before I go ahead with some sort of tips and tricks series that could teach you about the game. But even then, even if we learn that they have all the same guns and all the same stuff, how do we know they're going to perform exactly the same? I feel as though it might be one of those things that might have to wait for the game to actually release. And being a YouTuber, hopefully I'll be able to find some back alley thing to try and get the game early. Hopefully I can do that this year. I don't know. No, I didn't do that with Black Ops 3 this year. I couldn't find an early copy. So hopefully that can do a little bit better this year and getting an early copy and trying to play the game a little bit early and be able to find out whether or not a lot of this stuff works. Then come day one, be like, all right, this is what you guys need to know. These are the classes. These are how the guns work. This is a certain little glitch with this particular weapon. For example, the M48-3 with ACOG, for whatever reason, one hits everybody. It rarely will ever get you a hit marker, whereas if you use an M48-3 with a regular scope, it will get hit markers, whereas ACOG, it doesn't. It's a weird glitch that was happening in COD 4, and that might be true when the game comes out and when they remaster it, or maybe they'll fix it. Who knows? I want to find out what the game is actually going to be like before I make videos like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please drop me a rating. If you guys would like to submit your questions for the next episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. It's a very simple process. You go to my YouTube channel, you go to the About section, and from there, you'll find a Send Message button. Go ahead and send your messages in there, or alternatively, you could go ahead and follow me on Twitter at NeroTweets and tweet me using hashtag Dear Nero, and you can submit your questions that way. Either or, just send in your questions, and you may be featured on the next episode, which of course goes up every single Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.